Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So, as the war drums are beating, is that really going to happen? Trump is the master of art of the deal. So, we're probably going to see some amazing things happen. I believe as we move forward. I think that we're going to see Trump is going to stop some of these wars. He's already stopped some of them. We're going to see a little video clip where he talks about how the Pakistan and India conflict was solved, and some other ones. So he's basically stopping a lot of stuff, and there's going to be more and more of this happen, I think, going forward. So of course there's the Russia-Ukraine conflict. There's the latest is the Israel, uh, you know, Iran, conflict. It's going to continue until everything's revealed and everything's stopped out. That's supposed to be stopped out, guys. So that's the way it is. You're going to hear a lot of the shills out there, talk their smack, and I see people coming with evidence that Iran is not the one that's causing all of the terrorist attacks, and that's from having been downrange, like I tell you guys, firsthand. Iran is definitely the major problem in the Middle East, and everybody knows it. And then there's those that like to talk like they know what they're talking about. I guess I see them on shows. Right now, looks like my it looks like my internet is a little bit in and out. It's crazy things here in Florida, guys. There's a lot of storm activity. Uh, Lightning bolts taking out power, and it's basically going to continue. I think Florida's going to get very, very, very wet this year, as well as other places. So if you look at, there's another storm that's coming up along the Pacific. Looks like it's going to hit Acapulco again. Acapulco got hit by a storm a couple years ago that was like the biggest storm in history, and it hardly dumped any rain. It was just it blew up overnight. Everybody's like, go to bed, don't worry about it. We might get a Cat 1 tomorrow. And it came in as one of the largest hurricanes in history, over 200-mile-per-hour winds, which basically blew the hell out of Acapulco. And then they had another hurricane last year, which basically came in, it went out, and then came back in the same place, hit them again. So Acapulco, for whatever reason, is being targeted by the deep state. All right. And they like to come after certain groups. And some people will say, well, you think these hurricanes and these storms and so forth are just targeting certain people. Yeah, among other things. So remember, the deep state will always have multiple reasons why they do what they do, targeting individuals, groups, or trying to set an agenda, trying to destroy Acapulco so they can make it into their own 15-minute city. Who knows all the different things? But when we dissect a lot of this stuff, it is what it is. So for this time of year, for this type of storm to come into Acapulco is very unusual, right? Very unusual. So the United States and a lot of places is going to see record-setting heat, and everybody's going to go, you see, and we've had like one of the longest winters ever. We're just now coming into summer, and believe it or not, there's still going to be more snow that's going to fall in the Rockies and the Sierras. So you guys, you short memories, very, 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 very short memories for a lot of people. They get stuck on one thing, they get fed a certain agenda, and then they blow it up, like they're doing with President Trump right now. So everybody's like, he said he was going to bring peace, blah blah. He said he was going to bring peace. And, yeah, he did. He's bringing peace in a world that's like, crazy. So, uh, some people do it, just don't get it. It's like, it's so, goldfish memories. Yeah, that's good. A ghost, a ghost of the now. So goldfish memories, I guess, would be like super short. Right? You ever see the goldfish are like their mouths are like always it's like, mouth breathers. So, and goldfish are cute. I had them quite. I had many goldfish when I was growing up, and lots of other fish. And I've been among the fish, and I've been among the sharks, and I've been among the stingrays and the, whale sharks, and you name it. I've been among them, and they're all cool. So, uh, window licking. That's good. All right, so let's look at President Trump. Recently, he just walked off Air Force One. You know what? Just before I go on and do these shows, I spend hours putting information together, and it's like the last few minutes is like what all this stuff. Oh, I got to put this. It's like that's why sometimes I'm a few minutes late. There's so much information. It's an information dump these days, guys, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Derek Johnson gave me a shout out today. Cool. Yeah, we're going to get Derek back on. We're going to have a little conversation. Derek is crushing it as usual. He must be loving life because all the stuff he's been talking about for the last 4 years is like a little piece with Big Daddy, and let's see what he has to say.
JD Vance for a great job, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has done a fantastic job. So Rwanda, a long-term war with the Congo, a very bloody war. They're all bloody, but this was a really bloody one. Is going to be making peace with Congo. They can get on to making trade deals with the United States and other places and have a much more normal form of life. We're very honored by that.
Now, I want you guys to pay attention to that. I remember I was, had a psychic. I was doing some readings with him, past lives and all that kind of stuff. And I was one of those shaman that would bring seeds. And these seeds, basically, I would bring them into areas that were having a lot of conflict. And these seeds were really fertile seeds, and it helped people plant them, and then they have great crops, and they would have to war against each other. So President Trump is like that. If you bring prosperity to a group of people, there's no reason to have all this fighting. That's what it's all about, more times than not. It's about who has control of what.
We had India in. It looks like we're going to be making a trade deal with India. And we had Pakistan in. It looks like we're going to be making a trade deal with Pakistan. And it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It's a beautiful thing to watch. The art of the deal. It goes far beyond the what people think. It's all about business. No, it's about making the world great again. Not just America. America's becoming great again, of course. Even though the deep state is extremely resistant to that, because they like the conflict, they like to see people fighting, they like to cut people off from their abundance, and at some point when that abundance is clear to everyone, we won't have war again. It will completely stop. So that is one of the major things. Of course, we're taking away the abundance of the deep state, and by taking away the abundance of the deep state, they can no longer do a lot of this evil, guys. They afford it because they have to pay people off. They have to pay people to spy on people, and then they have to influence people to come along and join our club. Otherwise, we'll kill you. Right? We have assassins we've trained in the U.S. military. We've coaxed them in thinking they're doing the best for their country, but they don't realize that we're lying to them, and they're actually being assassins for us so that we can maintain control, as we've talked about with James Files, the shooter behind a picket fence. So he's revealed a lot of stuff to us, and he has so much more to reveal, but I don't know if we're ever going to get to that. But there are people that he has talked to, and eventually, if he does unfortunately pass away before he reveals it on his own, from his own lips, there are people are standing by ready to reveal that information. All right, because he's not in a position to do that. Because if he were to reveal it, then he could be arrested, go back to jail, or assassinated himself. So there's a lot of things, that are happening behind the scenes. Now, Trump calls for a special prosecutor to investigate 2020 election. 2020, it's not over yet. So President Donald Trump on Friday called for a special prosecutor to investigate election fraud in the 2020 presidential election. Now, I know we've heard this before. We've had special prosecutors that were going into this stuff, but nothing ever happened because the deep state was in control. And when the deep state is in control, you reveal stuff, you die. You die. And people know that, so they don't. Right? I don't know. Maybe some of the stuff James Files would reveal would get a lot of people killed, very possibly, right? You have to think on the other side of this, guys. You have to think that, yeah, these people are evil. They should stand trial and so forth. A lot of them, as you've been finding out, don't make it to trial. They get killed. So there's a reason why some things are revealed and some things aren't. Why we know there's these guys are guilty as hell. Why don't they get picked up and prosecuted and go to, I don't know, get mowed for the rest of their lives, or get that nice necklace that takes away their breath. Take my breath away, right? So that's what they sing when they get on the scaffolding, and it goes boop. Take my breath away. Crack my neck and whatever. If they're lucky, they get their neck cracked. If not, then they get a long dance. Get a long dance while the breath goes away. All right. So 0 border crossings for the month for Trump, he says, versus 60,000 for sleepy, crooked Joe Biden, a man who lost the 2020 presidential election by a landslide. We've known this. We've talked about this for 5 years. We've talked about this. All right. So now it's coming out. It can now, because we were in position to be able to reveal this stuff. Biden was grossly incompetent, and the 2020 election was a total fraud. The evidence is massive and overwhelming. A special prosecutor must be appointed. This cannot be allowed. Why does it have to be a special prosecutor? So he's protected and he's not influenced like the deep state has, infiltrated a lot of the judicial guys. So it has to be a special prosecutor. This cannot be allowed to happen again in the United States of America. Let the work begin. What this crooked man and his corrupt cronies have done to our country in 4 years is grossly indescribable. Make America great again. All right, so this comes after we have seen some very interesting, information that's come from, let's see, Kash Patel. So FBI Director Kash Patel on Monday evening turned over to Congress an intelligence report raising concerns that China had mass-produced fake U.S. driver's licenses. Now, when I left the CIA, because I had to, and I started off on my own after they tried to ruin my life, destroy me, and because they basically went on a spree of destroying my credibility and so forth. I was like, dang, I can't get a job anywhere. I know so much, and but no one will take me. So they destroyed my credibility. There were people that came up to me and were telling me that that was going on. And then I didn't hear from them anymore. So I was persona non grata, and everybody knew that if they had some kind of connection with me, they could lose everything as well. So eventually I got a job as a security guard at a casino, a lowly security guard. I remember some of the SEAL guys would come through and they'd see my trident on my uniform or my coat jacket when I eventually got to the point in a few months is fastest in the history of the casinos there that someone had been advanced. Man, well, I'm a high performer, right? So and things just happen. It was just like it's like somebody quit, and then I moved up, and somebody else quit, and I moved up. And I was like, boom, boom, boom. And so the manager or the top guy there at the casinos in Lake Tahoe, he's like, I don't know how we got you, but I'm happy you're here, and thank you. It's like so, he looked out for me, and and the casino business is corrupt, as you guys know, right? It's very, very corrupt. He was a very good man, and he eventually got pushed out. They destroyed his credibility, but he won on the like a year later, like after I had left, because it was corrupt and I had to leave. Right? So good thing because it was just before COVID, and I knew it was coming. I predicted it was coming. I said everything's going to get shut down. So see you guys. I'm out. And so everything got shut down. And so he came back. He came back with another company. They bought all out. Laugh because he's talking about these driver's licenses that came from China. So when I was a manager there at the two different casinos in Lake Tahoe, I would uh, I would get these calls from the guys on the floor. They're like, uh, "Chief, we got some people down here, and that have fake IDs." So I would come down, and we had these black lights, these pin lights that we could look at driver's license. If you ever do that, there is so much stuff in your driver's license. Get a little black light and look at your driver's license. It's insane. But if you look at it, now they have like all these different holograms in it and everything, so they're a lot harder to cheat on. If you see flashes behind me, there's a storm coming here, and it's like, and it's not it's not unusual, but it could influence my internet. Now I've already lost my internet uh, from Frontier. It is not. It hasn't worked in days. I'm going to cancel it anyway because I'm leaving soon. But my Starlink is a little sketchy sometimes too. And then I'll just pop if everything goes bad. I just pop over to my iPhone and use that as my signal. So um, anyway, like I said, things are going to get crazy in a lot of ways in a lot of different areas, guys. So and it's in the planets. The planets are signaling this is going to be a wacky week. This weekend and into next week going to be wacky, wacky, wacky. So anyway, these driver's licenses, we had the pin lights. My guys on the floor were like phenomenal. I picked some good guys, and of course, some of them have been there for years. But I helped make a lot of people successful. So they were doing a really good job. So they're like, yep, we got some problems down here. So I'd come down and I'd put my pen light on it. It was like, yep, arrest them. So it was a $600 fine or something like that if you had a bad ID. That's the way that it was in Nevada back in the day. But I don't know what it is like now. But I remember talking to this one young girl that had one of those IDs, and she said everybody's getting them. They come from China. So this is back in, I don't know, 2017, 18, in 2019, as you guys might recall, at the end of 2019, I said they're gonna like hit us. They're gonna hit us, and then 2020, um, we know what happened, right? And why did they do that? Because they wanted to. It was part of stealing the election. So they came in with massive amounts from China because they're already starting to seed the field, starting to see how they could like come in and use it because obviously they have all these right. It's always been in China. They don't like go off and raid anybody else until now. Till now that the communists are there. Now they're like, and that's the communist agenda. That's the communist agenda to basically destroy another country and then take it over. I mean, look at the Democrats. They're trying to destroy our country and take it over. So same thing. And that's why the Democrats are working with China so much. So they work with China to steal our election. And they had, I guess they're finding like hundreds of thousands of driver's licenses that came into America from China to help steal the election, guys. Hundreds of thousands. And it's being revealed. The Biden, his family, lots of Georgia, the governor of Georgia, and his top guy, Johnny, or whatever the hell it is, like Raffensperger, Stupid Burger. All those guys, and they had Chinese funding for their elections, and that's happened around the country. All right, so yeah, it's getting a little sketchy here with the internet. So just bounce around. I'm not going to say what I'm on because it seems like the things that I CIA micro jamming the feed. Right, exactly. Yeah, so we have they have their ways. They have lots of different ways to come in. Yep, stream's getting interference. We'll see. Maybe I've adjusted it so that it won't now. I don't know. So. It is part of being the truth community, guys. It's been this way for 5 years, all right, and it seems to be picking up a little bit again. And we're back. Yep. You see me now? Good. All right. Hopefully it stays. I made a little adjustment. I don't know what's going to work long term. We'll see. I can flip it back to something else. So let's look at a video. Let's look at a little video, and then we're going to talk. We're going to talk about some things. And there's a lot of things that get revealed to me all the time. I don't always bring them up. But, if it kind of feels right, maybe I'll throw it out there. I'm going to show you guys this.
On behalf of the United States Army, the Army ordinance, I would like to present to you this flag, which was flown over our nation's capital in free fall during the Army's 250th birthday celebration.
Now, was there anything else said there? Then looks like he's talking to him, right? Looks like he's talking to him. I don't know. Maybe the microphone was cut, and then there was another conversation that happened. Because there's some people that are saying some interesting things. So it says, we were informed that 80 members of Congress were captured during the parade and flown over the parade in 10 military helicopters for treason and trafficking rings run by the Vatican. The soldier handing Trump the flag said, mission completed. We've arrested them all at the Capitol. We've captured their flag. Now, maybe not. Maybe, just somebody feeding disinformation out there. And it could be on purpose, or it could be just somebody wants to be cute. I don't know. But I think it fits a narrative. I like it, right? And, kind of fits also that President Trump put 2 new flags that are both 88 feet tall on either side of the White House, north and south. So maybe that is a captured flag. So now it's like, now we have captured DC. DC is now flying under the American flag. How about that? So little things that are out there that you catch sometimes, and makes you go things that make you go right? You like those? I like them. And so that is pretty much 88 is the word of the day. Yeah, good. Not sure. Right. So not sure is saying that 88 is the word of the day. All right, good. So yeah, we're getting a nice little rainfall. I don't know if you guys are catching it behind me, but it's coming down. It's coming down. And let's see if I can slip up a little higher here, and maybe you guys can see the rainfall and the flashes of lightning. So it is. It's getting really wet here for some reason. Right? It was very dry, and now it's very, very wet. I was driving this morning around, and there was flooding all in the streets everywhere I drove here in my area of Florida, St. Pete area, and so forth. So no boats out right now, but there's probably some out there. I don't know. They're anchored. We'll see a lot of this stuff continue, guys, as far as like the reveals and so forth. I think it's going to continue. Now, President Trump, of course, is the 47th president. And what happens on, he said, a lot of people have been saying something big is coming on the 4th of July. Now, what is, so you have the 7th month and the 4th day, 47, right? Very, very interesting. So, of course, we just had President Trump on his birthday with Flag Day and 250th Army birthday. He's lined this stuff up. It's funny how they do this. It's planned to a certain extent, but there are good people that are doing good numbers too, not just the deep state. Deep state does their numbers, 666, all that bullshit. And if you see 9 upside down, you see a 6 and a 6. That's basically 9 inverted is 6. So they play the games with the numbers too, but they're evil with them. So we're trying to get some good numbers in there, right? So 47, and you're going to see a lot more 47. You know that Trump, the name Trump in gematria is also 470. So you lose the zeros in gematria, and it's basically 47. 47. Triplet, right? So say it 3 times. Make it something, right? You bring it into existence. You bring it into reality or something. I don't know. So now that was a Golden Knights parachutist, supposedly, that handed him that flag, and that flag was supposedly flown, which I believe it was. It was flown by one of the jumpers, free fallers. Free fall to a certain altitude, then they pop. Sometimes they have smoke and all kind of crazy stuff. Now, there was a Navy SEAL. We have Navy SEAL. I don't know if they still have it. I'd heard that they stopped the Navy SEAL leapfrogs. I think they stopped it during time of war, but I don't know. Maybe they're back again. I don't know. So on May 2017, there was this one gentleman that Remington Peters, like that one Peters that's basically in prison, and Tita Peters that's basically in prison in Colorado. Evil Colorado. Evil. There's a lot of people need to see some neckties out there in Colorado, guys. All right. So Tina Peters, this is her son, and he was doing a jump. So he used a leapfrog, which is the opposite or the same as the Golden Knights. So the Army and the Navy had jump teams. I haven't seen Navy in a while. So like I said, I think they may have stopped them during the war, and they haven't come back. I don't know. So, and you're like, what war? I mean, what war haven't we been in, right? So I could be wrong. I didn't look it up, but I know that there was some kind of something about that. All right, so here it is. I'm gonna bring this up. and show you this. This was always very strange to me that he died, and this was before I think Tina Peters actually, got involved. But maybe they knew this was coming, so they're trying to send a message. I don't know, guys. I mean, we do have guys that die in free fall. I've had a couple friends that have died in free fall training, and guys are getting injured all the time. So this was in New York City, of all places, and he unfortunately plunged to his death when both, which is extremely rare. So he had 900 jumps, I believe. I had over 1,000 jumps when I left the SEAL teams. A lot of those jumps were when I was at SEAL Team 6. We used to jump like crazy at SEAL Team 6. I loved it. But he, I don't know if he had 900 total or if he had 900 just in the leapfrogs. So the leapfrogs are always jumping. They're training. Those guys, I had a lot of friends over the years that had been on the leapfrogs. And when they came into the regular SEAL teams or SEAL Team 6 or whatever, they brought that knowledge with them. And we had incredible upgrades in our jumping always. So it is always great when you send guys off to do different schools. Like for me, I went to all these hand-to-hand schools. I learned how to be, I started the Navy SEALs first hand-to-hand program because I went to all these schools. I started the Navy SEALs first climbing course because I went to all these different schools. So guys that go off and do incredible training will come back. So it's very unfortunate that this happened. Obviously, was it an accident? It's not only rare, it's like super rare, right? It's like super rare. And the way to describe it, because this was the breakdown. So report, Navy SEAL who died in freak parachute accident faced multiple malfunctions. So you have your main, and if that fails, then you cut it away, which means you basically cut it. You can make that parachute go away. There's buckles and stuff, and you like hit a release, and it basically cuts that away, and then you activate your reserve. So your reserve is packed separately from your main, so it's your backup. So I've had to pull my reserve a few times in my life, and fortunately, it worked. And then the person that packed that reserve parachute, I gave them a case of beer. So, and that's the way it works. So, and I was happy to do that. So, that person earned it. And I was like, "What kind of beer you like?" It's like Corona. I was like, "Okay, I get your case of Corona." So that has happened. And then over the years, those guys that pack those reserves get cases of beer. It's not often, but it does happen. But what I have never seen in any of the groups that I was personally with, none of us had jumping accidents or life, death. But I know of guys that did, guys that I'd worked with over the years that unfortunately have that accident. So for someone with that many jumps in that much training with parachutes, and that's their life, you're very focused. It's kind of like me doing hand to hand, or I would go to shooting schools and I bring back shoot and I teach guys how to shoot. I'll do demolitions or demolition schools. So I was always taking our training to next level, up. And of course, that's the way, as operators, we work. So for this guy, unfortunately, Remington Peters, to die in a jumping accident on the jump team where you have extreme, training is super weird to me. Now they go on to document he had emergency procedures in a case of catastrophic malfunction by unzipping his wingsuit arms while free falling. He fought to untangle the twisted line for about 40 seconds before deciding to cut away. They don't know what he decided. They don't know what went through his mind. They don't know what was going through his mind, what he was trying to accomplish, or what was going on up there. So again, he's highly trained. He knows, altitude extremely well. So for him to, work with it means that he felt he could probably untangle it. He wasn't at that point when you have that much training. There's like you could say someone that had like 5 or 10 jumps, they just thrashed around and then burned in. Right? That unfortunately happens because they don't have the training, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the coolness that you would have with almost 1,000 jumps or more. Right? So for me, it was like, yep, that parachute is not going to get fixed. It's time to cut it away, and I hope I'm giving somebody a case of beer. So, and then boom, and I was like, yep, I'm glad that works. Thank you, God. All right. So for him, unfortunately, they talk about how the investigation claims, however, that he did so belatedly. So he cut away to deploy his reserve chute. He did so belatedly, which means too long. Belatedly, it was too late. Instead of conducting the cutaway at 1,600 feet. Now, I have jumped out at 800 feet in like a static line, and by the time your parachute opens, you're like 500 feet, and you have like 100 feet left before you have to cut away and get your reserve deploy because it needs at least 300 feet to my understanding. It needs at least 300 feet to deploy. Otherwise, you bounce. Bam, bam, right? Because usually human body, when it hit the ground at very high speed, it bounces up and back down. So, and maybe a couple of times, depending on how fast it's going. So we call it a bounce. It's a bounce that you never recover from, right? But there have been people that I know that have had parachutes that fail, and they went into the water. Now he went into the water, but he died. I know of guys that have had failures. They've cut away. They had their reserve. It was a streamer, meaning it didn't deploy, and they burned in. And I remember talking to guys that were on the safety boat. Yeah, we went over. We're going to pull his body out of the water, and we pulled up, and he got in, and and we're all stunned that he's still alive. He's a big guy, big muscular guy, and he's like, anybody got a dip? So they gave him a dip, and he put a dip in, and he passed out. But and then he got him in the hospital. He was bruised on one side where he landed in. But there have been people that have survived. I mean, on land, probably not going to happen. The impact, is going to break you up too bad. But he landed. This particular guy, he landed, and he did was a parachute landing fall type. It went down I think it was the right side of his body, and his whole right side was all bruised, black and blue, really bad. But because of the way he landed, it was like it just dissipated the force to a point where he could survive it, right? So unfortunately, you have that. There have been people that have survived water malfunction jumps. So he had a very, very unusual malfunction to begin with because he's an expert packing and all that. So, okay. And they talked about how things were inverted. So when you go, all of us, before we go up and jump, we go through, we all check each other. So he had, and it doesn't say whether that happened, but we do. So there's some things that are missing here. So everyone before they jump, they give each other a sanity check, make sure everything, you're good, and then you get somebody else, and then you get a second one, you're good, yep, everything's good, okay, let's go, and then you jump. So knowing that happened, then how could he have had a malfunction? And knowing that normally the reserve is packed by somebody else, a specialist that packs reserves. I don't know if these guys pack their own reserves. I haven't looked at that. I was never on the Leapfrog, so I'm just kind of coming at this as an expert in the field, looking at something and going, something's not right. Something's not right here, right? And it could just be they haven't put all the information in there because they're trying to protect something, and that bullshit happens too. Because some people don't want to admit that, yeah, we really fucked up, right? And so it could have been something like, I don't know. So the report also claims that Peters deployed his reserve parachute too soon. That's like, really? He would deploy it too soon? He's an expert. Again, he's an expert. So the way we're trained is like, boom, boom. You release your main, and then you go right to the handle of your reserve, and you pop it. So it's like a boom, boom. It's like about that fast. Pop, pop. So how could he do it faster than that? So when you do it that speed, it's going to deploy. Now, if you do have a malfunction that's all twisted around you and all over the place, and you deploy a reserve into that mess, yes, it's not going to work, right? So I don't know. They talk about some different things in here. I'm very disappointed. Obviously, everybody should be disappointed. This gentleman, died. I guess he died in front of everybody too. It was Fleet Week. There's lots of people that are watching him, and he burned into the water and died. Right. So unfortunate, but still, like I said, very suspect. And of course, they called Tina Peters. They called her a gold mom, gold star mom. Usually, a gold star mom is someone's son or husband, whatever, that has died in combat. So that wasn't a combat death, but he, I don't know, some kind of. There's another star for, someone that is a survivor of someone has died in military service. So I don't know. So there's a lot of different things on that. So of course, Tina Peters is still in prison for being part of basically exposing 2020 election fraud in Colorado. And we know that Colorado tried to take Trump off the ballot illegally for the last election. So, and then if they had gotten away with it, it would have been a domino effect. It would have been a precedence. So they had a judge that was trying to push it, and another crooked judge, and they weren't able to push it through. I guess they had enough stuff to keep it going, right? So they didn't disqualify Trump, and if they had, like I said, he couldn't have been elected because there would have been other states, other demon rat states that would have done the same bullshit, right? So just got by on that one, but still, Tina Peters is still in jail, which is very suspect to me as well. What is that about? And I don't believe they're purposefully disregarding her. I think there's other things afoot, just like we're going to see things afoot to reveal the 2020 election was stolen. All right. So that's coming out. Of course, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to jump in and talk their smack. Some of them think they're right. Maybe they're just their brains aren't working all that great. They work great in other things. I'm not going to name any names, but you guys have heard a lot of people that have been bashing Trump that we used to think were MAGA, and still some issues, I guess, even with the other. And it looks like it just popped out just for a sec. But anyway, let's look at another very interesting thing, because we're seeing the healthcare. So a lot of things are coming up. We know that there was fraud with the vaccination, the COVID vaccination. That's being disclosed. So we have a lot of, with MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, with RFK Jr. Doing his stuff. He basically fired all the vaccination people that were at the CDC, and more things are moving in the right direction. And I guess they're calling out Fauci more. So many things are happening. Now listen to this. This is very interesting.
Well, why do we have a medical system in this country where too many people can't get the treatment they need? And there, to complicated answer that question, But one of the big problems is, and I don't think most Americans realize this, we subsidize. When you go to the hospital or you go to the doctor and you pay out the rear end for a treatment, you are subsidizing all of the therapies
all over the world, guys. So when I was in Pakistan, I spent many years in Pakistan, hunting terrorists, and went and very successfully. OBL was one of them, and so over the years, we learned that some of the guys learned that we're in the medical field. There were physicians assistants and all kind of crazy stuff in the military. We train guys to an incredible level. So there was a Green Beret guy that I work with, really good guy, that was a physician's assistant, and he would go into the different hospitals and the areas that we're at in case we got blown up by somebody or shot up, and so we knew what was going on in the hospital. They knew about us. We made, he would make connections and so forth. So he went in one time and he asked him, because he had to get some work done when he got back home. He's like, "How much would it cost to go through your MRI to get a scan of this portion of my body?" And it was like ridiculously low. And he's like, "Really?" And he's like, "What about if I got my entire body MRI? And what equipment do you have?" And they're like, "We have the GE equipment that you guys have back in the United States. It's the same thing." And he's like, "Well, how much would it cost for a full body MRI?" And it was like $100. And if you get it done in the States, it's like, I don't know, thousands of dollars. So yes, we do subsidize the world. We, the American taxpayers. It's bullshit. So JD Vance is exposing us.
So basically, we pay more so the Europeans and other parts of the world pay less. So we fund all the innovation, we fund all the development of new drugs, and then Americans pay way more. That's why, Americans, we spend 22% of our economy on healthcare. The Europeans average out about 10 or 11%. So we spend way more on healthcare, and they spend way less. So the president uses this example all the time. As he calls it, the fat shot drug. He had a buddy who was on Ozempic and had to go to Canada to get it, even though it was invented in Europe. Yeah. And it was mass produced all over the world. It was like a tenth of the price in Canada that it was in the United States. Yeah. And the way that it is the drug companies make money off Americans so they can offer discount drugs to everybody else.
So there you go. All right. So these are the things that are being exposed, and they could not have been exposed unless Big Daddy Trump, President Trump, was there, guys. All right. And of course, he is part of a larger machine that is grinding up the deep state right now, and he's an excellent representative of that machine. But there are many involved. So just like off the wall guy like me, or that just an off the wall guy like me, and Nino Rodriguez and Juan O'Savin and Scott McKay and all the other truthers that are out there. We're basically hammering it from our end because we can get away, and we have been able to get away with it to a certain extent for 5 years, where they could not do that. Right. So now they are able to bring it to the surface because of that constant hammering that we have done, for the last 5 years, informing the American public. Of course, there's naysayers. There's still people that are like, "I'll believe it when I see it," blah, 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 blah. Right? So now what else have I been telling you guys that you should be involved in? Silver, right? So silver is right on the precipice, I believe, and so do the other experts are really taking off. Let's listen to another piece of this. Now, I want you guys to be successful going forward, because it's going to be the smart guys and gals that make America great again. And I think we're making America great, but I don't believe we should have those people that have been manipulating a lot of the economy for a long time be the ones that survive on the other side of this. I think we should be the ones that really are rolling in the dough and can build like, great, healthcare centers and, share the information that we're sharing with others, the LifeWave stuff that I share, all these different things that are helping make Americans and the world great again.
Triple digit silver, maybe a fair size number in front of it. $400, $500, $600, who knows? Price of silver has been suppressed for so many years with make and paper contracts, and the game just kept going and going. It could have easily been blown up by Russia, it could have easily been blown up by China, but that would be an act of war.
Okay, so that would have been an act of war, because we've talked about this, that the BRICS group would potentially, destroy the dollar. But like he's saying, that would be an act of war. So why not why not do the slow squeeze from the outside, which has been happening? And we're starting to see silver go higher. We got a little bit of a pullback, over the last few days because it hit a multi-year high. The last time it was this high was like 13 years ago, 37. I think it hit just under a very key level, which I think is like 37.40. I think it went to 37.33, and it's pulled back for the last 3 days. It was a buying opportunity, but now it's starting to pop back up again. We'll see. If it goes lower, it's still a buying opportunity. That means the retail bubbas like you and I are going to start to get involved here. Now, a lot of people won't get involved until it's like $50-$60, and that's unfortunate because I've been with Dr. Kirk Elliott. We were jumping up and down back when it was $17 to please buy at this point. And now at this point, you have doubled your money if you listened back then. But at what point do you want to get involved? Do you want to get involved like here at 36? Do you want to get involved at 50 or 60? Do you want to get involved at 100? I promise you, when it gets over 50 and it starts to blow up, that's when you're going to have the retail crowd, you guys that are listening to me that haven't got involved yet, are going to run, and you're going to line up at all of the places where you can buy silver. You're going to line up, and you're going to buy that silver because you're going to be FOMOing out the yin yang, right? I've been dollar cost averaging in this stuff for like 3 years, telling everybody. And if you've been doing that, you're probably going to be very wealthy. You're probably going to be very, very wealthy. And with that wealth, you'll be able to do the great things. You'll be able to share. You'll be able to like have people in your immediate family who are probably liberal and dumbasses. You'll be able to help them. Well, maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But it's gonna be amazing going forward.
Basically left us to our own methods of destroying ourselves, and that failure to deliver is going to happen. When that happens, it's going to set a time bomb of derivatives defaulting off. That will be the end.
So the derivatives are basically just paper. And just like the fractionalized reserve currency that our banks have, where they can take one of our dollars and fractionalize it 100 times, and I'll give you this loan. You just give me this much money, and they're taking our bucks and fractionalizing it. So they only have to have so much. Now they've been tightening that with the Basel 2 more recently. I think they have a Basel 3 coming in, where they have to show that they have more reserves. And at some point, I think it's going to have to be backed by gold and silver. So we'll see this explode because there's so many different things, which I'm going to show you guys that silver is silver. We don't have enough silver right now, and the silver if you're on your phone, it's got like a quarter of an ounce in it or of silver, and it would cost more to get that out of there than it would be worth. But when it starts hitting 150, 200, 300, 500, $600 level, like this gentleman was talking about, then people are going to be pulling out of computers and phones, just like they started pulling copper out of buildings that were like old and decrepit. They found copper in them. They just started yanking that copper out because it was expensive. And when it went in there, it wasn't. So this is what you're going to see with all precious metals.
Of the financialization of the West.
When Bill Holter says it's a certainty that silver will experience a failure to deliver.
So the failure to deliver, like I said, you go to the bank, you're like, okay, I got $10,000 in the bank. I wanted that back. They're like, well, we ain't got it. We ain't got it. I remember because a lot of people are like, well, you should have a federal credit union. I was part of Navy Federal Credit Union back in 2008, 2009, 10, 11 when it crashed. They would only let you get $250 in cash out. $250 in cash a day. Yeah, right. So it's definitely coming, guys. It's going to explode up. And a lot of people are like, well, I'll wait till it does. Okay, you wait till it explodes up to 50. It'll get a little pullback in there. You better start buying it right then. It may make a few runs at 50, but once it gets over 50, it's sky's the limit, guys. Sky's the limit. So and then so a lot of people are like, well, I'll just put it in gold because it's easier. Gold's going to go up too. Gold's not going to go up as much percentage wise. So you would be able to buy a lot more gold ounces with your silver exploding. And this has happened throughout history. We've talked about this for years. And so you want the silver now because it explodes up more. And then you take that at some point because it was like over 100 to 100 ounces of silver, over 100 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Every time it's done that in history, within a short period of time, there's been an absolute explosion in silver price. Every time. Right? So I trying to help you guys out. Right? So I try to help you guys become. I've been crypto millionaire a couple times, but the silver is going to be the big daddy, right? Silver is going to be the big E, big yes, and get bullion. Don't get coins. I mean, you want to have some coins. I got lots of coins, but because you'll trade them, easily sell them. It could be, we may go through a period where you're bartering, and silver would be very, very good to barter with because it'll be like worth a lot. And so I have a lot. Yes, you're long silver, Long John Silver. Sorry. I remember as a kid we used to eat at that place. I haven't eaten there in a long time. Do they even have those Long John Silver places left? All right, Silver Vanishing Act, electric vehicles and solar to swallow years of global silver reserves. With Western bankers keeping prices low, they're going to get spanked for that. I think they're going to get really hurt for being part of keeping that JP Morgan. Lots of banks have jumped in to help keep the price of silver low. So it's a generational, I'd say it's a multi-generational chance to acquire silver. And silver, planet Earth's most undervalued metal, is vanishing at breakneck speed. All right, so I got to jump off, guys. So that's enough for silver. I got another show I'm supposed to be on. I get so sidetracked. Sorry. All right, so get your silver. Of course, Dr. Kirk Elliott is the best place to get it, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay in a love vibration.